to ask for clarification several times. I was like, wait a minute, what is happening?
Yeah.
Where are we at? I don't understand why it was easier for me to remember the Japanese names of last week than to remember like who Bud White was. Like, and Jack, no idea who Jack was for the first bit, but like Kikuchiyo, I got you.
Yeah. Welcome back to the big room, where broken promises are made. So, I have a beef. We watched LA Confidential, and if you listen to the last episode, I was led astray literally immediately by Nick because he said, and I quote, Frank Sinatra's in this movie.
I had that complaint as well.
And
I was led astray.
Before I watched the movie, I scrolled really far down in IMDb, or rather to the side, because the cast goes side to side. And I keep scrolling, and I'm like, he's not in this freaking movie. And then it's uncredited, him and Marilyn Monroe right next to each other, uncredited archival footage. They're both in the movie for 2 seconds?
Yep.
Second and a half?
Yep.
I think you miss it, yeah.
And it makes sense. I should have known, because this movie came out in 97 and Frank died in 98. But still.
Yeah, that was a possibility.
I watched the whole movie waiting for him to pop up, and I was like, did I miss it? And I went back again, and I was like, then I did your thing. I looked it up, and I was like, oh, he was just in there. And I was like, I guess he would have been like on his deathbed if he had been in it. But I was disappointed off the rip. I was like, come on.
Google led me astray.
Yeah.
I felt bad. I'm sorry.
Way to go, Google.
I was also looking for him.
I was promised a Frank Sinatra movie, and I got a movie starring a sex pest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little strange.
Yeah, the
a little jarring.
The bulletin is kind of like, Russell Crowe. What's his face?
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce. Yep, and Kevin Spacey. Who's the worst? And then Danny DeVito, who's great, and Kim Basinger, who I've heard of. Didn't recognize.
Yeah,
and
couldn't place her in anything.
I've seen her in nothing. Like, I looked up her filmography. She's like not in anything.
Same with Guy Pearce. I feel like he just kind of after the 90s just kind of fit
him and Kim Basinger are both like, if you go to their IMDb page, like LA Confidential is like the #1 build thing they're in.
Huh.
Which is interesting. But yeah, Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe being awesome. I love Russell Crowe. I've only seen one other movie with him in it, but it's Gladiator, which is amazing. None of y'all had seen it, right?
No, I hadn't.
You hadn't seen Gladiator? Carl, you hadn't seen Gladiator?
No, I haven't seen Gladiator.
Dude.
Or this one.
I mean, yeah, we hadn't seen this. We got to maybe watch Gladiator next year. It's super good. Super, 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 super good. Joaquin Phoenix in that as well.
Ugh, hate that guy.
In Gladiator?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't hate Joaquin Phoenix.
Nice.
I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, he's the main antagonist. Actually.
Sorry, Joaquin. I know you're listening.
Sorry, Joaquin. If you're listening, fan of the show, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Come on our podcast.
Not anymore.
We'll talk about Walk the Line, Joker.
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 Gladiator. Joker and Gladiator probably two weeks.
Paul's Afraid is the new one, or what's that one?
Paul's Afraid.
I don't know.
There's some new one. Something. Beau's Afraid.
We love you.
Oh, that's the one where he's like everything. Is that the new horror movie?
I'm not sure.
Oh, whatever.
I just know he's in a new one.
So this is a cop movie. Cops. It's LAPD, which is like corrupted as it still is, right? Isn't it still like there's a bunch of gangs and cop gangs in LAPD and stuff? It's terrible.
There's a lot of homeless.
Well, that's
I
LA.
assume, at least.
It's not homeless people in the police department. I mean, maybe.
Well, just in LA.
Rent's high.
Yeah.
Do homeless people make gangs? Is that what you're saying?
No, cops make gangs.
Gangs of New York.
What?
Yeah. Well, no.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. So, who directed this? I don't remember. Who cares? Irrelevant. So, those three actors.
Yeah, I didn't recognize his name.
The movie's a lot of. It was interesting because it took a while, at least to me, to like. It took like an hour before I was like, all right, these three guys are the main characters.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I was like, is Danny DeVito main character? And then we've got Kevin Spacey's character, Jack Vincennes, who like kind of drops off for like 45 minutes in the middle of the movie and then comes back and he's super important again. Kind of like he drops off from his famous show he's in the movie and then sort of comes back again. So, I expected more Bud White and it's more Russell Crowe. And it's really like Guy Pearce is kind of the main character, kind of, right? Like he seems like the most
central figure,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
That's Edmund.
Yeah, that's Edmund Exley.
Exley,
glasses. Shotgun Ed.
Shotgun Ed. Who would've thought?
So there's a lot happens in this movie. But essentially there's like, I guess the tipping point of it was the police department makes some arrests on Christmas Eve, and they beat the snot out of the prisoners while press is in the police department.
Yep.
And there's like, this is set in the early 50s, if I didn't say that before. It's period drama.
Mm-hmm.
And the press takes a picture of the cops versus whatever brawl, and then, you know, some cops have to get fired for it, and then some get in trouble, and pretty much we've got two of our main characters, Bud White, who's played by Russell Crowe, and Jack Vincent, who's played by Kevin Spacey. They like get in trouble, and then the third guy, Edmund Exley, who's Guy Pearce's character, is like the goody two shoes, like I'm not gonna
by the book cop.
Yeah. He's like, I joined the force because of justice. And he like rats out all the other officers who none of them will like turn on each other.
Yeah.
Except for Jack Vincent, who does it to keep his spot on his show. He just like takes a suspension or whatever, testifies against his fellow officers. And that whole plot, that's really like how the movie kicks off. It takes like 35 minutes for us to get there.
I thought the court case was going to be like the movie.
I thought that was going to be the movie
Like
too.
when we got started, I was like, oh, this is like a courtroom drama. And then, you know, after 30 minutes, it was like, all right, the court case is solved. We're moving on. I was like, oh, we still have like 2 hours of movie left. That was not the point of the movie.
No, it ended up being much more fantastical, I guess, than that.
A lot more. It was about crime.
Yeah, but like cop crime. It's not really about.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, that's the show. So, what was interesting to me is in a post George Floyd, not 1997 world but like we're supposed to hate Edmund Exley, right? Like as an audience, he's written to be like, man, he's turning on his fellow officers and blah blah blah, and the rest are so loyal to one another, which is awful.
Yeah, me and Cameron were both like, no. We were like, I'm on his side, like.
It sucks because he's set up to be hateable until like the end of Act 3, but he's like he does like the right thing, you know, by ratting out the other cops, which is like, you know, yay for that, because corrupt cops are gross, and then it does portray LAPD in like a corrupt light, which is
very
true to reality. Like obviously this is dramatized, but that police department sucks.
But is it? I mean, hopefully a little bit. I mean, yeah, like
I don't think the chief of police in LAPD is out using officers as hitmen. At least, well, actually,
do we know?
No, we don't.
LAPD, write in and let us know. Yeah,
thanks, LAPD. So anyway, Edmund glasses. He basically uses the information and his willingness to rat out officers to promote himself to detective, and then all the other detectives hate him. And we've got like he responds to a case after all the other detectives leave at like 3 p.m., which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
And he responds to a call at this diner, and there's like a bunch of dead people, and one of the cops that got fired is dead, and we kind of have like there keeps being murders, and cops keep dying, and members of the press and stuff, and is it intertwined and is it not? And then we've got like a extremely good cop and like extremely bad cops, and then like normal bad cops that are like good, and then like it's really convoluted. There's it's
very layered,
a lot of characters, and it's a movie that doesn't come together until literally the very end, almost in like who's bad, who are the main characters. Like it's a ride, but not in a like I followed the story well, but it was still like, I don't know what's happening.
I followed the story, but only after having to like rewind a couple of times.
We rewound once or twice too.
Yeah. It was all very quick.
Did you watch it 100 times, Carl? Or
I got through 3 this time. Yeah.
So we watched it last night. We're recording at a later date than normal because I was gone for 100 days recently. So we're kind of cramming. I haven't gotten to really even read about it. So
I don't know what I expected this movie to be.
I know what I expected.
Oh,
I expected to see Frank Sinatra.
Well, one, I expected that.
I said
Two,
I'm sorry.
I expected a noir, not a neo-noir. So I went into this wanting that stylization. I wanted the,
More
dramatic
VO.
flair. I basically wanted, like Rick Blaine with his coat turned up.
Rick Flair.
Rick Blaine. There's too many names.
These cops
That's
are
the neo-noir.
styling, profiling, jet riding.
I wanted
of a
like people
gun!
doing monologues in the rain, and like I just didn't get that with this. It felt kind of plain compared to that like aesthetic that I wanted,
So hang on, for the regular people like me, what are the two?
Careful.
What are the two
Any.
things you're comparing here?
The film noir.
Yeah, film noir
Yeah.
and neo
Just
noir.
it's like more dramatic. It's black and white. It's like it's
You
more.
kind of follow
I feel
one
like-
guy.
Yeah, it's like following one guy, and you're kind of in his head. You hear his monologues, kind of, and you get more of a like. I guess it's more of like a sob story, kind of like a little bit to some degree. I don't really even know how to categorize.
They're very
I just know
dreary
that
and,
what I
and-
saw.
and rainy, and like something will happen, and then you'll see the character at a diner, but you're like the camera's outside the window, and it's raining, and you get a view.
Yeah, it's
like,
very like
it just doesn't
alienated from
add
the
up.
rest of people, kind of loner, like
mystery.
detective kind of-
Yeah,
Yeah. Whereas this just kind of like didn't feel, and that was kind of like my complaint for the movie, is like it wasn't stylized enough for me, I think, or I wanted more of a theme, like color grading kind of, like when you see
Yeah.
like a movie with Mexico and it's not made yellow, it doesn't feel like Mexico, because it
Right.
doesn't feel hot.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
kind of what I feel like that's what needed to happen for this. It was like it didn't quite get me there for the story and the setting. It didn't feel like it was there. Like they did a good job with the world building, and I think the cinematography was nice, but it just didn't quite, for whatever reason, scratch that itch. So on my third watching, I actually just cranked down the saturation, watched it in black and white, and it kind of
course you
worked. It kind of got me
Yeah.
there. So I was like, it was not like, it didn't, not fully, but it was like a nice kind of like half step towards that feeling that I wanted. But yeah, I just didn't get that from the actual movie, so I was kind of like a little disappointed.
I kind of felt similarly, but more like I had similar feelings about Gangs of New York with the voiceover. It felt like it tried to toe the line or sit on the fence with like is this a movie that uses voiceover as a narrative tool, or is it not? Because Gangs of New York like had it at the very beginning and then at the very, very end. Like there were a handful of lines. This movie it was very sparing, and it was really only when it involved Hush Hush, the magazine that
yeah, it was
Danny
like
DeVito
reading
runs.
Danny DeVito's
Hush,
articles to you.
But yeah, and if it was true noir though, like again, I feel like we wouldn't have as many characters. Like we had three real main characters. I think the three cops
Yeah, for sure.
are the main characters, and then obviously we have the villain. But so that's I guess that kind of puts it out of the noir ballpark because we've got three dudes that we're following around. But I don't know.
I feel like it's too much dialogue too. I feel like a noir is like characteristically not much dialogue,
Yeah,
or at least not much. Like it's more monologue than dialogue, I guess. But
yeah. So
I don't know. It strikes a different balance.
we've got one. We've got Maltese Falcon as a film noir, I believe. So
Gotcha.
it also stars Humphrey Bogart from Casablanca. So
Let's see if he can make a good movie.
all right.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
Just gonna hate on Casablanca every
Yeah,
episode.
because whatever, his eyes are broken. So yeah, I kind of had similar things. It also felt like, I don't know, man, the 90s kind of get into that more like Hollywood feels a little more similar to how it feels today, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't really thrown off by maybe because I don't really have a large grasp of noir film. So I was kind of expecting it. The feeling that I got from the movie was kind of what I expected, because it was very 90s. It had a lot of big 90s actors. It wasn't necessarily a suspense movie, but it kind of was in that vein of like kind of action, kind of suspense. Where is this going? And it felt, like you said, a lot more kind of like Hollywood feels now. So that didn't throw me off. And I feel like it did a good job of the storytelling.
Yeah, and maybe it's just we watched this super old movie and then
we're jumping.
Yeah, I think
we're getting
true.
It was like I wanted that kind of to continue into the new one, and I expected it being set in that time period to adopt the aesthetic more than it did, and it kind of left me wanting. But
I had to look
I shouldn't
up.
have gone into it with that expectation, and I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, I had to look up even when it was set. Like I knew it was a period piece. But
Yeah.
I'm like, is this 70s? Is it 60s? And then I had to look up. Oh, it's the 50s. And really, like, what helps date that for me is cars, and we didn't see a car for a hot minute. Or I guess we did early, but it was dark. I don't know.
I can't really tell
So,
just by looking at them. Oh, that's a 50s versus a 40s car. I have no idea.
I mean, yeah. So, I don't know. You didn't like Russell Crowe's character for a long time.
Well, because he was like the bad cop. Like, yeah, he was the bad cop. Like he beat up the guys.
He takes the law into his own hands.
He's definitely he's the stereotypical punchy cop. Is kind of his role for people who haven't seen the movie.
Which and his character has it's established early on that he feels strongly about protecting women, and crimes against, like, going after guys who commit crimes against women. Which, like, to a degree, yeah, those guys are trash garbage, throw them away. But also the law and, like, kind of like looking at it from a 2020 lens, it's hard to watch a cop and be on his side when he's
to give a moment where we were both on very opposite sides with the Bud White character was when they arrest those 3 or 4 black kids that they think shot up the people in the diner. Because there's kind of like a false antagonist. Like, it's kind of obvious to the viewer that it's not these guys just because it's too early in the movie. If you're paying attention to runtime and it's like, then it's over.
Fair.
It's over, you know. But we get the stereotypical and classic good cop, bad cop thing, but not in the like, they're not in the room at the same time. But we've got Guy Pearce's character, Ed Exley, who's the detective, and it's his case, and blah blah blah, the whole diner situation. And this is where we really see the brilliance in his police work, because he's an excellent interrogator. Like, he's a smart kid. He went to college before becoming a cop and blah blah blah, which is why everybody hates him in the police force. But he is, like, really turning these kids against each other to get information, and, like, just doing the whole really awesome interrogator thing. But they mentioned that there's, like, the interrogated kids mentioned that there's, like, another girl that, like, they raped but is still alive possibly, and Ed is trying to get the information from, like, the last kid, and he's like, I don't know nothing, man, I don't know where she's at. And because it's a woman in distress, Bud, like, kicks the interrogation door down, takes his
breaking a chair with his bare hands.
He's like gripping this chair and just splinters it, and I'm like, oh, he mad.
What was that, a balsa chair? Like, how did you do that?
Chair's made of cork. No, he breaks the chair, kicks the door in, and does, like, it was like my favorite scene in the movie, and you really didn't like it.
No, it's horrible.
He flings his revolver open and drops every bullet but one, and says, you got, like, a 1 in 5 chance or 1 in 6 chance, and he puts the gun in the kid's mouth and starts just clicking the trigger to, like, get the kid to talk. And Exley's, like, not about it, but also it works.
Well, he would have gotten there.
Can't argue with the results.
He would have gotten there.
Yeah, he was on his way.
What I expected,
I, like, couldn't breathe during that moment.
I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Holding my breath.
But I expected, like, because Exley does go, oh, I'll write you up on blah blah blah, which is like, I'm gonna tell mom, and he does that crap for the whole movie. But I expected, like, a scene where, like, Bud, like, threw him the revolver and Exley opened it and there were no bullets in it. He was like, oh, I was just like, you know, like, it's a try. I would have
full bluff kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I expected. Is there wasn't a
what
real
happened
bullet.
If he killed him?
Right.
Then he never gets the
That's
name.
why
I think he did look and kind of see if it was up next or whatever. I think he kind of knew
he had
going
to.
into.
I think he had to have poured all 6 out. But
might have. We could probably freeze frame it and see.
Or, you know, like, maybe that was explained and then cut for time or something. But I feel like that's a trope or something like that. So I loved that scene. Like, that was badass. That was awesome. And she was like, I hate this guy.
I was like, you need to calm down. Like, you're being
so bad.
inappropriate. This is not how you conduct an interrogation, sir.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever interrogated anybody.
So we've talked about
I'm not a
Ed,
police officer.
and we've talked about Bud, but then there's Kevin Spacey's character, and he's kind of like the third cop we follow around. His name is Jack Vincennes.
Jack.
And he's like he is a cop, but he's in like a cop drama. Like
He's like the technical advisor to keep them like realistic or grounded.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So he's like, he advises rather, the cop drama. So it's like,
There was a funny quote, if you don't mind.
no, yeah.
When he was he's talking to that lady at the party, and she's like, the actor doesn't move like you. And he's like, oh, America's not ready for the real me. And I was like,
That doesn't age
that's
well.
a pretty loaded statement, Kevin.
He has a couple statements,
Oh, yeah.
especially
I was
when,
just like, man, yeah, looking back, you're like, whew.
especially later when he tries to set that politician, like the gay kid up with the politician to like bring the councilman down. He has a couple lines towards the kid where I'm like,
Yeah, he's like, have we met? And he's like, it was at a party. He's like, something like that. And I was like, oh.
yeah, it's like,
Oh, Kevin.
Something tells me he didn't have to act too hard, to reach too
Or
far.
he's been method acting.
Big yikes.
a post,
He never stopped.
yeah, a post 2019 Kevin Spacey.
It's not good.
All that aside, good performance, but yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because I liked his character. I liked his sarcasm. And
Yeah, so it's
kinda,
and his voice,
Yeah.
like he's very suave,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like sexy
He just
and
plays
stuff.
the
but,
cool
ugh.
cop, yeah.
It's really hard to watch
He's in
Kevin.
it for the glory.
It's really hard to watch Kevin Spacey
Yeah.
movies after 2019. Like we watched even a Bug's Life because he's Hopper, and
Oh,
in
yeah.
a Bug's Life,
Oh.
and it's like, ugh. The ants pick the food. The ants stack the food. Like,
Let's ride.
gotta watch a Bug's Life. But yeah, so he's this
movie.
technical advisor, and he's the one that's in with Danny DeVito's character, who runs the Hush Hush magazine. Sid, yeah. So, but I guess to hit the gas on the plot, it turns out the black teenagers weren't involved in the murders at all. There were like they keep finding, so like Bud and Ed both like take the case separately, but Ed, it's like his case, and Bud is doing it from ulterior motives because he's got like, there's an illegal pornography ring, and he's like falls in love with one of the performer ladies
so
or whatever,
they
and
have prostitutes who are made to look like famous actors, like Marilyn Monroe or Rita Hayworth. I can't remember the others, but
that's like a whole
their thing.
And then we've got like Jack Vincennes, who's like also picks up the case for a reason I can't remember.
It was connected to the kid and the drugs.
I think so, yeah.
There was
When
some
they're trying
kind
to
of
set up the
connection.
DA.
Yeah.
Because there's a heroin, like some politicians or whatever are buying heroin.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
Sid,
that's what the whole. Did we talk about the original guy being taken out and that being the vacuum that opened up all this stuff?
No, we didn't. But yeah, there's like a big crime boss that gets whacked.
Yeah, like a kingpin gets put away, and
which is where I was like, oh, this is going to be like more of a gang, like Godfather-y kind of movie, and it wasn't. I was sad. But yeah, there's all that to say, there's no way we can explain it like coherently, but there's a lot
you
that
don't have
goes
to take
on.
our word for it.
There's a lot of like individual like things that all funnel into one case.
Yeah.
And we've got Jack, Bud, and Ed all like from different angles getting closer to the same thing with like Sid and whatever. And there's this motel in the movie where the chief of police like brings suspects to get interrogated, like waterboarding and like Bud beating them up.
A little
and
bit
stuff.
of torture, no big deal.
Like some off the
As you
books,
do.
some off the books like police work, like info getting. People will keep dying there though. And that's when we start to learn, oh, the chief of police is the bad
He
guy.
might be a little crazy.
Which
Did
is,
anybody else kind of see that coming?
yes, because of the actor.
I thought you said
I
you did.
didn't.
I like as soon as like I was like, I bet it's that old guy. It's always the old guy.
So
He thinks he's slick. He's gonna like.
What I didn't see coming is when he shoots Kevin Spacey's character. I was like,
Oh.
oh, he's hit. So I
Yeah.
knew he was
When that
string.
happened,
I knew he
yeah.
was string pulling police, and I knew because he's always like the bad warden, right? Like Longest Yard, Green Mile. Like he's always playing gross,
bad guy.
like gross, like people in authority. Like that's his.
Okay.
That's,
Slimy, yeah.
that's the folder he's in. You know, in
Being a
the
villain.
Hollywood filing cabinet. That's the folder he's in.
Yeah.
So I knew he was going to be bad, right? Because it's like
Okay.
you don't cast that actor if it's not going to be bad.
You don't cast
But
that actor, boyo.
how? Yeah, and him playing like an Irish Catholic was kind of funny. But it's how bad and how like he shoots like he. Well, I'm losing the ability to speak. So Kevin Spacey's character like comes to him after he gets information on one of the like cops that got murdered or was doing murderings or whatever. And the dude just turns around and shoots him in the chest and kills Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
And we've got this this plot with Ed that's really important. With Ed's dad was a cop who was killed and they don't know the killer's name. Right? Like the dude got away. And so Ed just made up. Do you remember what the name is? Rollo
Tomasi.
Yeah, he just made up. Ed said he made up a name to make it feel more real or whatever.
Yeah, to give him personality.
Yeah, to give him personality. So Rollo Tomasi.
Full of personality, yeah.
And he tells Jack, Kevin Spacey's character, he like confides in him in that to like kind of, I guess, help them be on the same team or whatever when they go out on a case together during the why did you become a cop speech. Kevin Spacey's dying words after he gets shot were Rollo Tomasi. And it's like, oh, that's the chief. The chief's the one doing all the bad
He's
stuff.
Rollo Tomasi.
Way to use your last words there.
So, and it's
Make 'em
like,
count.
that's really like when they key the audience in like firmly, like, all right, this is the antagonist. And it takes like an hour and 45 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
Which was cool. I liked that. I liked that it's so weird.
It kept me guessing.
Yeah.
I didn't know where we were really going.
It wasn't like not broadcasted, but it wasn't
It wasn't like handed
here's the
to
bad
you.
guy, here he
Yeah.
is. Like, yeah. So, no, I liked that. And then, we have a shootout at the end and they kill the thing. So, Ed, like, it's cool after Vincennes dies, like, Bud and Ed, like, become, like actual good cop, bad cop. Like, they buddy up, which that was broadcasted. It felt like Ed's going to come around. And I even saw he's going to shoot the chief in the back, like, as he starts walking
It took
away.
him so long. I was like, are we going to do it?
Well,
are we
he
like
dangled the
what are we
carrot of
doing?
another promotion.
Oh, right.
And it was
Can't
like,
let him do
oh,
it,
he
though.
keeps doing slimy stuff to get ahead. Well, not slimy stuff, but he keeps doing like stuff to get ahead. And it's like, nope, he's just going to shoot him in the back. What I also called was, so I actually was wrong.
You were wrong.
I was wrong.
You heard it here first, folks. Cameron admits he's wrong.
I thought so. Bud and
Never
Ed
thought
both
I'd see
get
the
called to like the murder hotel, and they get called there clearly by the chief of police, who they, I guess, then kind of learn he's bad, right? Like, they're on his trail, but don't 100% know.
Yeah. They know it's a setup, but they don't know
They
who
know it's a setup, but they don't know who.
it is.
I
think.
That's kind of how I don't know. We should have watched the movie as many times as Carl. Anyway,
Yeah. Carl.
For real.
they're both
Well, they knew
like,
it was him at that point, but yeah, they knew they were like that's where they were kind of boarding up the, windows. With
yeah.
the
So they
mechanisms
get
and
it.
all that
They go
stuff,
into the
so-
hotel and they start boarding up the windows and stuff. And I like paused it and was like, all right, here's my call. I thought that Ed was gonna get killed and have like his final in his dying breath, like do the full like he's cool now, and like Bud White was gonna have the reference y'all won't understand, but like a shooter moment where he goes like super mad and just kills everybody. Spoilers. But like it's a revenge movie. I thought that's where this was gonna go. Is Bud was just gonna go ham. I was backwards. Ed is the one who, like, Bud got shot a million times.
He probably should have died.
I did say
Yeah.
that. I did call that he lived because you do see him clearly, like the double tap shot that's supposed to kill him goes through his cheek.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I bet he lives.
But before, you always thought he was going to live and that Ed was going to die.
Yeah, but
I
what-
said he was going to die and Ed was going to live.
Yeah, so you
But
were
then
right.
they both lived.
But then I was like, I bet you Bud's not dead.
And then he
I
wasn't.
thought they were all gonna die.
Ooh.
I thought the captain was gonna, like, the moral of the story was that the bad guy was still gonna be the corrupt bad guy.
Ooh, he would get away with it.
I
Because
had
we had
that.
Jack die.
I had that thought
We
too.
thought Bud died. And then it was just Edmund. I was like, there's no way Edmund's going to make it out of this alive. He's surrounded by 1 billion people.
Yeah.
Which they'd already killed a bunch, but
Then
That would
they
have been
do
fitting
the
as
all
he's the
dead.
guy that gets away with it. That would have been a perfect little bow on it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh well.
No, I kind of was thinking that I had that thought too. I was like, oh man, the dude's gonna get away with it.
Yeah.
And
It seemed
Danielle
like
would
he
have
was.
hated it because the
I
bad guy
probably
would've
would have
won.
had a vastly different reaction. Yeah. If he got away with it.
Yeah,
What can I say?
not a messy movie, but a lot happened.
Mm-hmm.
I had to ask for clarification several times. I was like, wait a minute, what is happening?
Yeah,
Where are we at?
there were like C plots and D plots and E plots. There was a lot going
I
on.
don't understand why it was easier for me to remember the Japanese names of last week than to remember like who Bud White was. Like, and Jack, no idea who Jack was for the first bit, but like Kikuchiyo, I got you.
Yeah,
Maybe because you had to read it 100 times.
right.
Bud Light was the easy one because it just sounds like you're saying Bud Light with a lisp.
Oh no!
White.
Oh no!
Did it remind anybody else of like a Coen Brothers movie? That kind of slice of life a little bit where you're following a person's life.
We've watched the Coen Brothers, right?
No.
Yeah, that was Llewyn Davis.
I-
Kind of feels like
Okay.
that where you're just kind of thrown into a world, follow somebody, and you dip back out.
I feel like it would have felt more like that if it was a true noir.
If we
Yeah.
focused more on one of the cops instead of all three of them, maybe.
Yeah,
There's just so much to keep track of.
it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was. I mean, it ended really well. Fairly violent. It's
It all
rated
came
R.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of people getting shot and blood everywhere. So, warm you up for Godfather.
Yeah.
So
That scene where
Oh, yeah.
Ed's chasing the guy down the hallway and he goes into the elevator.
yes,
Yeah.
Did anybody else think that when he pulled that shot that he killed like a civilian instead? Like the guy
Ooh.
that put somebody in front of
Ooh.
him. And like, cause he made this face like, ugh, and I was like, oh, he realizes he shot an innocent or something.
I
No,
didn't think
Like
I've-
maybe there was somebody else in the elevator and he like put him in front to block or something. But yeah, I was like, I thought for sure that's what was happening, and that was his fall from grace, and that he's got to be tried or something, you know, like. But yeah,
I think
was
that
just like, oh, I guess
face
it
was
worked out.
more him just realizing that he's becoming one of the other guys.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he had to do real cop stuff and kill people. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's real cop stuff.
I definitely thought it was something else. I was just like, oh no.
So I thought
What
I thought he
happened?
was gonna like leg the guy, and then either do like a super dark turn where he like double taps and kills him, or like, you know, has like PTSD from blowing a dude's leg off and hearing him scream to death as he bleeds out. Like that's kind of where I thought it was going, but because he like put the shotgun in the door pretty low and pulled the trigger, I'm like, oh, he just blew a leg off. Like there's no way he killed that guy, but no.
Gross.
So, and then he gets the nickname Shotgun Ed from that. And it
Shotgun
was
Ed.
hilarious.
Shotgun.
Shotgun Ed.
Oh, shotgun.
And he gets a Medal of Honor or some kind
Nope.
of medal.
You get some
Yeah.
kind of medal, but it's not the medal. Of
Medal of
I know,
Valor?
You don't get the Congressional Medal
close.
of Honor to cops.
something like that.
So,
Some sort of medal.
yeah, well, he gets medals like twice.
This guy gets so many medals.
He's
Who does he think he is?
Yeah, he knows how to work the system.
Two
A
promotions,
bit of
two
a
medals.
career opportunist.
he's Mr. Hot Pants.
Apparently.
He's like got all this.
It did
stuff going.
annoy me that they kept being like, take off your glasses. And I was like, wouldn't you want him to be able to see as clearly as possible if he's carrying a gun around? Like,
No, that would make sense.
there are anti-glasses in LA, apparently.
Maybe in the 50s.
Rude.
It
It's
was
about the look.
4 eyes.
Rude.
Did you see that? Do you guys remember? It was very brief. He's talking to the captain at the very beginning of the movie, and the reporter comes up to take a picture, and he just has this. He rips off his glasses and puts a smolder.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was so good.
It was
So
like,
goofy.
yeah, it was acted well. I like that. I don't remember who recommended this movie to us because this is just not on the lists. I think it was maybe Steven, but I don't know. It could have
I
been.
could see his dad liking this movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't
Seems
know
like
who it
a
was.
Dan
But this
movie.
wasn't like this is one of the movies that wasn't a quintessential watch.
Mm-hmm.
At least. It's rated really high.
Yeah, I had never heard of it.
Neither.
Hearded? Never
I mean,
heard of it.
I was 2 when it came out. Carl, you had something you wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, the what are the? I don't know what the actual chart is called, but it's like the
like-
lawful, neutral, chaotic, like
like
good, evil
Character alignments
chart.
from
Character alignments
from,
chart.
like role playing games.
Yeah, so I figured we try to place the protagonist and then the Dudley into that graph.
So I think
Ooh,
like
Dudley too.
I think
Because like the obvious Ed Exley's probably lawful good.
he's lawful good.
Like that's
Yeah.
probably clear, and yeah, and he may skew a little bit at the end, but I'm trying. Like I couldn't figure out if Bud was chaotic.
I think he's chaotic good.
Chaotic good. Okay.
Because he's a
Or
loose
is he
cannon.
neutral?
No, because he's loose.
Neutral?
He's chaotic something. Because he's a loose cannon. That's like
I
who
feel
he
like
is.
yeah.
He's
I think
ripping
neutral
chairs
good
and-
is probably Vincennes or Vincent.
Vincent is the hard one.
Yeah, that's one. He's
I
kind of a
think-
floater because it just is whatever benefits him.
Yeah, he's
Isn't that
self-serving.
I think
Isn't
Jack
that
is
neutral?
chaotic neutral. Because he
Chaotic
does
neutral?
whatever it takes to like keep him like for fame.
But that's not
But it's
neutral.
never
is it?
really anything.
I mean, he takes he's taking bribes.
He does create the crime and then also solve
It's
the
not
crime.
evil.
So that does kind of balance out.
He's not evil.
Chaotic neutral.
He's
like,
not
yeah.
good. It's got to be neutral.
Chaotic neutral is probably a good call because he like will
Yeah.
do good, but he also will do evil. So that's kind of like the neutral line. But he's
Yeah.
clearly on the side of chaos, I think.
Yeah.
Like he's not lawful evil. That's like Dudley is probably neutral evil or lawful evil.
Yeah.
Lawful evil.
I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, he follows so many like. I feel like you can't be chaotic evil.
He's not
like
chaotic.
the Joker
He's-
is chaotic.
He's
evil.
too
Yeah.
mastermindful.
Oh yeah.
So that would be lawful. What's the other one? Chaotic,
neutral.
lawful?
Neutral.
Oh, neutral. Neutral evil.
Neutral evil.
No, it's more planned. I feel like
So I think he's probably lawful evil.
lawful.
Yeah. He's like a true evil guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should do that.
It wasn't as
for, like-
complicated as I thought it was going to
No,
be.
no. It's
That
pretty,
was pretty
good. The hard one's Vincennes because he's like
Yeah.
he's still obeying the law, but he is getting his.
Mhm.
So no, but I think chaotic neutral was the call on him.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
We should do that for more movies. It's a fun way to place characters. So, and did anybody have anything else? We've kind of beat the plot to death. So,
Is Rollo Tomasi a MacGuffin?
oh,
Because it's
know if
kind of the
they're-
driving force behind Edley's arc.
Yeah, but it's not really a part of the story.
it
I mean, it
is,
is.
but it's not.
It's only context to
I
the
think
story.
it'd have
though.
to be more
But isn't
than
that
just
the same as the briefcase in Pulp Fiction? It's not the whole story, but it's in there.
Well, if you remove the briefcase, you don't have a story to Pulp Fiction. I think if you remove Rollo Tomasi and the dad arc, you still have a story.
Yeah.
I don't think it like.
True.
I don't think that. What's the police chief's dude's name again? What was his name?
Dudley?
Dudley. Yeah, I don't think that Dudley killing Ed's dad is like a that's not the bolt holding this whole movie together. In the way that like we could still progress through the acts without it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no movie without the briefcase.
Yeah.
There are
It contributes but
Hang
doesn't
on.
rely.
yeah.
Do we think that Dudley killed Edmund's dad?
Yeah, 100%.
I guess so.
That
Well-
was all but like said.
But he said it was like a purse snatcher or whatever. Like he
Oh,
just
so
got
he
in
was-
the way of a robbery.
That's what he was told. Probably by
Yeah,
Dudley.
that's fair.
Because Dudley, every time he killed somebody, like he killed Vincent and said he was found dead in a park and his body was likely moved, and I want everybody to sweep the neighborhood. It was probably another one of those. It had
It's
to
funny
be
how
another
he
one of
just he
those.
literally tells the
Yeah,
truth
I guess
there.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's because the person giving the report
I
to
didn't
the
make the
press
connection.
was, of course.
I didn't either.
Oh my God. He literally looks, Kevin Spacey character looks Dudley in the eye and says, Rollo Tomasi. And you guys were like,
Well-
interesting last words. And didn't put two and two together there. It's crazy.
Well, no. I just thought he was identifying that he was the bad guy, not that he was actually the murderer or the
I
killer.
thought
of-
he was just being a cunning detective and was like, I know he will bring this up to Exley,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
will know that I was in contact with him. I thought that's what it was. It was like a chess play.
I mean, yeah, but it's because he's the guy.
I guess he did.
I
but
mean, it makes
yeah.
sense that he is.
He said it.
It's not. Yeah, I guess it's not shocking, but I didn't put that together. I just thought he was literally
Did you-
like, I
did
know
you
this will
connect those
surface
dots? Yeah, I
again,
did.
and
But I
Okay.
also watched it with you.
Smart.
Carl, I'd high five you if we were in the same room.
Dumb.
I figured that's why he calls
I'll
him.
look that up to make sure. Yeah.
That's why he
Yeah,
called
can
him.
someone
that.
confirm that?
Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't have to be confirmed. It's just what it is, right? It's obvious.
I thought.
Looks him in the face and goes, Rollo Tomasi. Doesn't make sense that these cops die without you doing it. Because, like, yeah.
I mean, they didn't do all the cop killing. I'm sure some. I guess you're right, but yeah, I'm gonna have to look that
Well,
one
it
up.
could have been the other guy that
right.
was arrested too.
Which other guy?
The main mob guy that was arrested at the beginning.
No.
That made way for
Why would they
Captain Smith to be?
Why would the media story be that the giant mob boss didn't kill a cop? Like, that's a home run for LAPD in the press.
All right. Moving on.
Like, the only way that it's an unnamed purse snatcher that no one knows the name of is because it's Dudley.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's yeah, that was the whole point of Spacey saying Rollo Tomassi when he was killed. It's like, it wasn't to communicate the point. It was like, this is the freaking guy. And also because Ed will get the hit.
I only got the second part. I didn't.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because then he.
Well, you
says
got the more
name.
important part. So there's that.
Yeah. Yes.
What were you saying?
I'll just say, Dudley doesn't know who Rollo Tomassi is.
Exactly.
So he says it to Ed, and then Ed's like,
That's when Ed gets the
wait
big
a
eyes
minute.
and starts like
What does it mean?
doing all the research.
Yeah.
I really thought, I thought that Ed was gonna get in trouble with Dudley faster than like Vincennes. So that was interesting that Vincennes died first, but I guess he had to give the Rollo to pass the Rollo Tomassi point. So I don't know if it's a MacGuffin though. I think it's integral to the plot because it's made to be. But I think you can remove the whole father killed stuff and have the same movie.
It does also kind of echo beats of Gangs of New York. You have the guy kind of infiltrating the group, who's like an outsider. Then he kind of there's like that leader of the group, new guy, clash.
Yeah. Yeah. There's similar themes there.
Similar beats, not similar executions.
Yeah. I see that. So, do we want to go into ratings?
Yeah.
Let's go into ratings.
Let's go.
Let's go into ratings. I don't know how to even start. Who to start to with? 4.
I can start.
All right, go ahead.
Notes. I have a rating. Excuse me.
I'll think of one real quick.
I think that I'm gonna give this a 3 stars because this movie took me on a journey. I was invested in it, and they had a complete arc. Like, all the characters moved through their journeys. They all kind of learned some lessons. The ending had a nice little bow on it of we solved the crime. We're moving on with our lives. And like, it kept me guessing. I didn't really entirely know where it was going. I think the setup at the beginning could have been a little bit clearer.
Yeah, the first like 45 minutes.
Pretty confused for a bit. But then like once you get to the end, I was kind of like, okay, like it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Not because it's like I'm gonna watch it over and over again, but because I think it did a good job.
Yeah.
I think it did a good job.
Nick.
Yeah. So I do have some notes here. I thought I enjoyed it overall. The plot was very layered. There's a lot going on. You had law, you had politics, you had Hollywood. And I think those 3 things were represented by each of the main protagonists. And it was kind of fun to see how they worked off each other. Like, you needed all 3 of those personalities to get to the end of this movie. You have the guy who's by the books and like won't ever rat anyone out, will like testify against his colleagues. Edmund, who's like the by the books guy.
Yep.
Then you have Bud, who's the guy that kind of takes things into his own hands, and then Jack, who's just out for himself. And I think all 3 of those characters worked together well and got us to the end of the story. Let's see here. Another note I had was just there was no real dull moments. It was a constant ramp up to the end.
Yep.
There was no times I wanted to look away or anything. So I enjoyed the story. There's a couple twists and turns at least. I wish. So there's like some people who will film themselves watching movies and then like upload that to YouTube and show the reaction. There was probably a lot of really good reactions, at least for me, like when Jack got shot.
Yeah.
Or when Bud went up to Lynn and slapped her in the face for sleeping with Edmund.
Yeah.
That was a lot of me like leaning back in my chair with my hands on my head like, oh my God.
I didn't even talk about that subplot. Yeah. That was crazy.
Like, can he really be shocked that a whore slept with someone else?
No.
They're whores, Charlie.
I thought that she was like being made to do it by her, you know,
The handler.
the handler. Like
I
I
think
thought it
she
was like
was,
you
but-
gotta sleep with this guy because they blackmailed him. So he
It just seemed like I was like, why are you shocked about this? Like, you know what she does for a living, but
Yeah.
like, he took it personally, but still, I was just like, it's kind of out of left field. It feels like.
Yeah.
I got really mad at the end when they made it look like he was gonna get with her.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
they walk out.
They
He walks
did.
out of with his medal, and they like link arms, and I was like, no.
It's before we
Don't
knew.
you, Missy?
Yeah.
Don't you?
Well, yeah, we thought Bud was dead.
Double cross and like you can't just hook up with his cop buddy.
And Bud's
No.
in there like half alive, like drains hooked up
Can't
to his
talk.
head and stuff. Can't talk. It's like
Ugh.
she's like, I'm taking
Our
him
second
to the beach.
our second shot to the cheek in a movie.
Yep.
Oh,
Also in Fight Club at the
yeah.
end.
Oh yeah. Gross.
And both live.
Yep.
interesting.
Moral of the story, you can shoot yourself
You
in the
can
cheek
Yeah.
and live.
We recommend it actually.
and live. Yeah.
Big room approved.
Yep. Do try this at home. Yeah,
But yeah, I really like the story overall. Mentioned this before. I didn't really expect the ending. I thought all of them were going to die, which couldn't have been farther from the truth. And I really like specifically that Edmund got to take out Captain Smith as kind of a revenge. And now that I realize that he actually killed his father, I like it even more.
Yeah.
Because you see him kind of get that revenge and closure on his dad's murder. And then the last note I have is the very end of the movie. We see Edmund, obviously like take credit and get the award and all that stuff at the end for bringing all of this to a conclusion. But he also lets the captain die a hero. So there at the end of the movie, we see him and realize that he's kind of turning and he's less and less of a by the books guy. I think if we were able to look like 30 years in the future, Edmund's probably like a jaded old cop who's maybe done a 180 from being
Where's
super by
that
the books.
remake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get a sequel. It's been what, 20?
Yeah,
20
they could
years?
pretty much do it like bring them back all in
years.
real time, and now it's 2023 in LA.
Yeah.
Fat,
least
gross,
Kevin
old
Spacey's
Russell Crowe.
Well, yeah, Kevin
Poor
Spacey's character's
Russell.
dead. Yeah,
Well,
we don't have
yeah.
to worry about that. Thank God.
We don't have to bring him back.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe looks terrible these days. What's your stars?
So yeah, for stars, I was gonna go 3.5. But looking back at the full story, once I finish the final, finish the movie, I think the last 30 or 45 minutes of it bumped it up to a 4 for me.
Ooh.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Nick approved. Let's get a stamp.
Nick approved.
No, I'm gonna go 3.5. I think 3, but I'm torn between 3 and 3.5. I think in the beginning it meanders too much.
Yeah.
It helps that it all gets poured into the same funnel
Yeah.
in the third act, but like it's really confusing. There's a lot of characters. There's even like you had that Nick's got like a character guide for us at the bottom of the note stock, and it's like I didn't recognize like two to four of the cops in it. I'm like, dude, I forgot these were even characters. So many names, so many just white dudes with high and tight haircuts. It's crazy. I expected it to be more like cop versus gang, especially with it being set in the 50s. So it's not really what I wanted it to be, but that's unfair. But I think I'm going to go 3.5. I enjoyed the ride. I really liked the Bud character. I kind of, if I could like use a superpower to tweak the movie and make it more like something what I'd like, I'd turn up the Bud and I'd turn down or off the Vincent's character. I just like, he was like pretty much wholly unlikable for me. And they also like cut him out of a huge part of the movie and I just didn't miss him at all. I thought the Ed character and the Bud character were both compelling for very different reasons. Ed was like, had a very not complex arc, but you could like kind of see the cogs in his brain turning for the whole movie. And then Bud is just like, I hit things with fist and make bad guy talk. And that's awesome. It's like the dumb guy in me wants to just watch Bud hit more stuff. Plus I like 90s Russell Crowe. He's awesome. Go watch Gladiator. So, I don't know. So probably 3.5. Like I enjoyed it. It's a little bit higher than like an average movie, I guess. Just because the end of the movie was pretty satisfying. I like final revenge plots. Like I think those are cool. So, but yeah, and we talked about the noir, like is it or isn't it, like weird Danny DeVito VO, like I feel like commit to noir or don't. It's weird. It's a weird format to like Salt Bae sprinkle into a movie because like noir is so like, you know, it's noir.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, and it's just weird to be like, and now we'll have some random narration. It's like kind of like pulls you out of it. Like especially from the beginning, like we're set up with our 5 seconds of Frank Sinatra and like all the Hollywood archival footage and stuff with the VO from Danny DeVito, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like one of those movies. Like this is gonna be awesome. And then it's just wasn't. And I'm like, okay.
It seems like a miss. Yeah, they could have just kind of continued that grainy kind of quality, but oh well.
Yeah, I don't know. So no, I liked it. I liked it out of 10. 3.5 stars. Wrap us up, Carl.
Cabral.
All right. Well, as we've already kind of touched on, I did want more of that noir kind of aesthetic, more of that drama, moody kind of feel. Didn't quite get that. It felt just kind of like any other kind of movie in its color grading and kind of cinematography.
For sure.
The only thing that really kind of cues you in is that it is a, historical piece. Not to go too far into like repeating everything. All the characters were really well established and really well introduced. They all had, believable and, compelling arcs. They all grew. I think, the story was good. As far as like a crime, I think like Zodiac was more of a thrill to watch.
I haven't
like
seen
more
that.
like it's a good one. And then there's actually another detective movie that Russell Crowe's in called The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling.
Ooh.
So if you're kind of craving another kind of it's more comical, but I think it does a better job of like, being a throwback, a modern kind of throwback.
Yeah.
Whereas this other one kind of just feels more, not bland, but I can't like, it just doesn't have enough of a personality.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the 50s, if that makes sense.
It's,
No,
yeah,
it didn't.
and like, I will say watching it in black and white did get me there for that. So, yeah, I just wanted a little bit more of the, that noir kind of feel. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah.
For black and white, 3.5.
Oh, the Carl
Yeah, it bumps it
cut.
up half point.
Carl cut.
Yeah.
Carl
Yeah, it's
cut
a 3.5.
Yeah.
in black and white.
Yeah, that was.
It just kind of felt like the Gangs of New York to y'all for me.
Okay.
'Cause I was like, the world building was really well done. You feel like you're kind of there, but it just, for whatever
It
reason,
missed
doesn't hit
something.
the mark. It needs that little bit of something. It needed to either really commit to that style or kind of like be more modernized or whatever. Like I did see some footage of like the director talking. They said they really didn't want it to feel like that. They wanted it to feel contemporary, and I think that was not.
Well, then just make
That,
a
well,
contemporary
no,
movie.
but I think that's the 90s.
Interesting.
That wasn't that the 90s
Yeah,
though.
I think the 90s are just kind of like whitewashed, for lack of a better word, but just kind of made it feel more of the time. And I think it could have benefited from being a little bit more stylized or more.
I like what you
know,
said about it didn't have like a personality. I see
Yeah.
it's some movie.
It didn't have that Rollo Tomasi that we were looking for.
that. Rollo Tomasi.
Rollo Tomasi.
Yeah.
Good movie though, but yeah, it just didn't quite have the punch I wanted.
So before we pull, I've been meaning to bring this up at like the onset of episodes, but I keep forgetting, and I've been wanting to ask this question for like 3 weeks, and maybe I'll remember to ask it in future episodes. Outside of this movie, what was your favorite thing you watched this week?
Oh.
I'll start, I guess. besides baseball, because it's baseball
gosh, I
season,
don't
which is
know.
my favorite thing in the world. I watched a little bit of The Simpsons. I've never watched The Simpsons before.
Ooh.
And so I've been watching I've watched all of season 1, and I'm in the middle of season 2 of The Simpsons, and it's like, it's good. It's chill. It's a chill,
Got a long way to go.
chill cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the first like 6 or so are like legendary The Simpsons, like must watch, and then the rest are like, this show is still on.
Yeah.
Like in the same way that like Carl and I have our golden era of Family Guy, like the first the first couple seasons of The Simpsons I've just always heard are great. And there was a Twitter page. Man, remember Twitter?
Hey guys, guess what? The alarm's going off, so I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, he
boy.
gone.
There's a Twitter page called like Simpsons Out of Context or something that I follow, and it's like, man, these lines are funny. I want the context. So
They're done with The Simpsons. They're gonna stop making it now, right?
Are they? I
Is
don't
that what I
know.
heard? I heard they were canceling after like 30 seasons, which is like
Jeez. It's the
crazy.
longest
It's like just
running
at this point, just keep it going.
it's
Like,
the longest
just don't
running
stop.
show of all time.
And that's
That's
crazy.
so long. That's
Like it
a
beat
lot.
like MASH and some other like live action stuff. I think Gunsmoke ran forever. Like The Simpsons is the longest running show of all time. So yeah, I've been watching that. What about y'all?
I just watched John Mulaney's new special,
Ooh.
Baby J.
I didn't know that was out.
Yeah,
Good?
it's good. It was funny because like I was watching it and I was like, why do these jokes sound familiar? Like, why is he reusing material? I'm like, what happened? I was like, oh my god, I saw him live. Like, I saw him do these things live.
We did that
So it
with,
was kind of crazy, like being like, oh my god, he was workshopping that, I guess, or he like had it, at that point he's probably polished off. I mean, John Mulaney's never not polished, but yeah, really wild to have like heard a joke live and then see it like on Netflix. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
pretty
we had
cool.
that with the Jim Jeffries special and the Burt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We saw the Burt material, so it's like, man,
Man.
I kind of want to watch Razzle Dazzle, but I did just see it.
Yeah. I will say another thing I watched, which I usually don't do this for the movies, but I watched the trailer for this movie.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was interesting because like,
Is it like
I think,
representative at all?
No, it was crazy. Like there's like a voiceover that like didn't match the style of it. Was like 3 cops with different motives, and then it was like,
Ooh.
I like to do things by the book. It was like it would like do some voiceover, and then it would cut to like in
An
scene
out of
dialogue,
context
and
line.
it would not mesh at all. And I was like, man, I wonder how many movies back then like just suffered from the machine of just what 90s trailers were,
Yeah.
Yes.
and like the
They
like
were
trailers
something.
like there was no, now it's an art form, like a movie trailer is like its own like masterpiece, it's like so yeah, going back and seeing like that old style, it was just so funny.
Sometimes
Just,
they're
like,
too
there's so many-
good too. They like spoil crap.
Sometimes they
Yeah.
are, yeah.
Yep.
Like I won't watch a
Yeah.
Star Wars trailer for anything at all.
Yeah.
I'll just go. I want to be disappointed blind. Stupid Star Wars sucks. Nick, favorite thing you watched this week? That wasn't this movie.
There's 1,000 things on my list that I should watch. And I need to
1,000
watch movies and TV shows. But this week, I restarted watching Breaking Bad
Oh boy.
Ooh.
for the 3rd time. I saw a YouTube,
Short.
not a YouTube reel. Don't be a
YouTube
boomer.
short.
Call it a YouTube reel.
YouTube
short. It was just a clip from the show. I was actually, yeah, saw a clip from the show, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to turn on the first season, and then I was done with the first
Turn
season.
on
like,
the first season. How do you do that?
well, the first episode.
Just put
I started
9
season 1,
DVDs in,
episode 1,
start 'em all
and
at
then it
once.
just kept going. I was like, well, I'm in this now. So,
Yeah. It's funny you
Shout
mentioned
out to-
Breaking Bad.
shout out to Gus.
Stins, Bud White's partner, reminded me of Hank a lot.
Stins.
Bud White's partner,
In the beginning,
Stins,
drunk guy.
The one that died.
or Stutz. What was his
Sorry,
nickname? Stutz?
Stens?
I was in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he reminds me of Hank. Like his personality and the kind of way he looks and everything.
Yeah, a little bit.
Never
Like
seen
a
it.
stocky kind of cop,
Definitely
Like,
same personality.
yeah, yeah.
I watched 3 episodes of Breaking Bad and was like, nope, never watched it again.
It's a good show.
I believe you, but I'm never gonna watch it.
That's how I feel about
whenever
Stranger
people
Things.
tell me. I hate when people tell me like, "Oh, you just got to get through the first season, then it gets good." But that's really how it is with that show.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna watch
First
like
season's good.
12 hours.
I know, First season's only seven episodes though.
7 hours.
There's that.
7 hours of
Just skip
my
that.
life.
Just skip it.
But then I won't know what the hell's going on.
He has cancer.
Oh, I knew that.
He makes
Spoilers.
drugs.
There's one part where he like jacks up that car wash. He like rips all the stuff off the wall. I'm like, this show sucks. I hate this guy. And then what did it for me was like, I really don't like gross stuff. And I'm a little better now. I used to be really queasy about blood and stuff. So the bathtub breaking through the floor was like, I was like,
Bits.
that was the last.
Oh yeah.
It's the last thing I watched of the show. Like he buys the wrong acid or whatever. And it's like
sloppy,
chunky body
Yeah.
scoop comes from the ceiling. Yeah. So
Really?
don't you want to watch it?
squish. Ugh.
He makes meth and
It's
it's
a good
blue.
Wow.
Wow. I am Heisenberg or whatever he says. Say my name.
I'm the one who knocks.
You're Heisenberg.
I've never watched any Breaking Bad, so I have
It's
no
like the
idea.
lady from
Yeah.
0%
Monsters
idea
Inc.
what's happening.
Monsters Inc.'s great. What's your favorite thing you watched this week?
I haven't really had a lot of time to watch media,
That's a bad answer.
but no, I have an answer. This week's episode of Ted Lasso.
Oh.
It was great. Ted Lasso's a great show. Highly recommend. It just makes you feel good. It's like a warm hug.
Why do I hate every show that everyone likes?
Because it's your bit. You love doing it. You love hating on.
I don't hate Ted Lasso. It's just not for me.
How many seasons are there now? I might
They're
go through
on the
that
third
one.
season
Yeah.
right now.
Is that the
It's
third and
starting to
final, or
be
is it
up.
going to go forever?
I feel like I've heard them say, like, I don't know if they know. I feel like they're throwing around that it's the final season, but it's
Yeah.
also really successful, so I don't know.
Hmm.
You know, but if they end on a high note, like, I'm fine with that. I would rather it end and end
Yeah, they
strong.
Don't
Don't
drag its
Don't
corpse
drag it
along.
on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I watched quite a bit of that when we had COVID.
I binged all of seasons 1 and 2 while I had COVID.
Yeah, we watched that instead of The Matrix.
Oops.
And I was like, I recognize it's a good show. It's just not it's got too
You
much.
thought it was going to be more of a comedy.
I thought it was going to be a comedy show, and it's got too much drama.
It's got a lot of drama to it. But I
And
love
that's
it.
just
I was the opposite. I wanted more drama,
I don't
especially
like.
after season 1.
I don't like drama. It stresses me out to watch. It makes me very anxious. I'm just like, nah.
Ted's too happy of a guy to only have comedy in that show.
Instead, I was
He
watching.
needs something to bring it down.
I was watching hour
Grounded.
long YouTube videos on ancient Rome. That's what I do in my spare time.
Sounds so
Riveting.
fascinating.
I am 100 years old. Let's pick a movie.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's pick a movie. I think good picks from here, if I could choose,
Yeah.
would
what you
be
choose?
Maltese Falcon
Mhm.
or Godfather.
Truman Show.
I'm kind of in for The Godfather.
Dude.
I could do
I
Godfather.
hope
Yeah.
to God.
Or
that is-
2001: A Space
It's not going to be
Odyssey.
something that we want. It's not.
It's not.
Truman Show.
What is it?
It's not. Well, it's something you want. It's West Side Story.
Oh no.
A
I
musical,
want to be in
Carl.
America.
Carl.
I want to be in America
It's a musical, Carl.
Great. How fun.
tonight.
It's got. Doesn't this have the
tonight
people from Hamilton in it?
is only just.
Answer the
No.
question. No.
No.
I thought the lead was no. What is this one? What was that? The Hamilton music.
In the
Heights.
In the Heights.
So,
okay.
well, we're going to watch the 1960s West Side Story. Not. There was also a West Side Story that came out.
2021.
Yes, that is not the one we're going to
So
watch.
Spielberg does Spielberg. And
That was
Spielberg.
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 I can't talk.
Spielberg.
I can't talk tonight.
Spielberg
Sorry,
sucks
fam.
now, and he hasn't made a good movie in like
Spielberg.
30 years.
Shots
So
fired at
made
Steven
recently?
Spielberg.
bunch of crap. What's that
Yeah,
newspaper
I don't
movie with Tom
recognize-
Hanks that sucked?
I know what you're talking about. I have no idea
Newspaper?
what it's called.
Forrest
Yeah.
Gump?
Forrest Gump was 30 years ago.
No, that was Box of Chocolates. No, he wasn't holding the newspaper. He was holding a box of chocolates.
Life's
Carry
like
on.
a newspaper. You never
Lots of
know what you're
columns.
gonna get.
It's black and white.
It works.
It's black and white.
And red
It
all over.
works.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, I'm more in because we're watching the older one,
Yeah, and
I'm-
I assume that
which is
the
gonna.
one.
I think it's gonna piss David off because I think this was a rendition from him, and he probably wants us to watch the new one. But let's not.
Well,
do
let's
that.
ask him. Let's ask him.
I want to watch the old one.
The old one, like one of the actresses, like won an Oscar for it. So
Oh, well,
I
we
feel
gotta
like
watch the old one.
We gotta watch the
Yeah.
old one.
It's a classic too, right?
It is a
Like
classic.
I've heard the
We
new
should
one's
leave it up to
good.
David.
I've heard the new one's good.
I
But
just
I-
want
I-
to watch a new movie.
We could just repick too if we didn't want to watch a musical.
I mean, we watched a movie from the 90s. You want to watch Truman Show? Movie's older than me.
Carl
Well,
just said
that's
we should
different. Truman
repick.
Show's incredible.
Wow.
We should what?
Carl just suggested we repick.
No, we're gonna.
Wow.
We
We
have
don't want to
do
watch
it.
a musical. I mean, if I'm,
I always
it sounds
wanna
like
watch a
nobody really
musical.
wants to
No,
watch a musical.
you see how
so maybe we
excited
should-
she is?
I love
Carl doesn't want to watch a musical.
You know why I haven't watched a lot of media recently? Because I've been watching YouTube videos of the musical Wicked.
The Wicked, the new Wicked movie that looks
my
great.
Yeah,
God,
you got your fill. Let's pull again.
Guys, we can all go see the
No.
Wicked movie next year, 2024.
No,
Let's go.
I don't want to see the Wicked movie.
No, you're gonna come.
Wicked sucks. It sucks.
All right, guys, this podcast is over because we're
I
getting
don't.
a
I
divorce.
don't like things that are like that. They edit established media just to make a bad character like good. That's weak.
I don't care.
It's weakness.
Okay, here's the thing.
Have you all seen Wicked?
Wait.
Have you all seen Wicked?
Wait.
No,
No.
you wait. I want to fill them in on what it means. Wicked is the Wicked Witch of the West is good, actually. That's Wicked. They make her good, actually. And when the bucket of water that kills her, she was in a trapdoor and was fine. Stupid, lazy music. I paid $700 to watch that
It was
musical.
the best night of my life.
And it was, and I was on board until the end when they're like, "I'm gonna run away with the Tin Man." It's trash.
With the scarecrow?
Who cares?
I care. Okay, here's what I was gonna say though.
Wait.
No. So the Wicked the musical is based off of a book, and the book is a lot darker. The book is not the same as the musical. So okay, the book was more honoring to the wicked nature of Le
Does
Witch.
she die at the end of the book?
Yes. Yes.
Of the book?
Yes.
If she dies, I'm more in. But if she
Yes.
doesn't die, that book sucks too.
No, I think she does die. It's been a while since. I read
somehow
it.
she's back.
Oh, somehow the Wicked Witch of the West returned. They fly now. Ugh.
I would
It's like
still.
it's just the flying monkeys. They fly.
They've been flying since the.
I would still like the musical, even if she was dead at the end of the musical. The rest of the musical's so good.
All right.
I would still like it, even if that wasn't shoehorned.
No, that's what I wanted because I thought the rest of the musical was good. It's literally the last
I
2
know.
minutes that pissed me off because not everything needs to have a happy ending, and it's revisionist history. It makes me mad.
It's still my favorite
anyway,
thing in the whole world.
Instead of watching that, everybody go home and watch Star Wars Episode 1 of Phantom Menace. We will see you all
Classic.
next week with another episode. Good night.